Okay, so we're going to start out Adamukavirasana. Those working on the chair, just extend forwards to another chair or to some bricks. So have your toes together, your heels apart, sit back on your heels. If there's difficulty with the buttocks staying back on the heels when you come forwards, then put a foam pad there, put a bolster there, put a blanket or a cushion if your bottom lifts away from your heels. Now, as you come forwards, for many people, they're all right until they get to this point, and then when they try to take the head onto the floor, the buttocks pop up like that. So if that's the case with you, then you put some foam pads or a couple of cushions under your head so that you can support your head. Some of you will be able to do this and just get the head to the floor and keep the buttocks down. So extend the breastbone forwards, just look forwards towards your hands, make sure your middle finger is pointing directly forwards, that your wrists and your elbows are lifting off the floor, and that your hands are shoulder width apart. Now lift and lengthen your breastbone towards the narrow end of your mat, and then again release your head down. So now look forwards, come up onto your hands and knees. Keep that middle finger pointing forwards, fingers spreading. You're going to tuck your toes under and lift your sitting bones up towards the ceiling. So tuck the toes under, feet hip width apart, lift the sitting bones up. Keep your heels lifted, don't try and put your heels down at this stage. Keep your abdomen lifting towards your spine, and imagine there was a rope around the top of each of your thighs, pulling your thighs back. But the lift of the abdomen, the lift of the sitting bones is very important in this action. Breathe, fine inhalation, exhalation through the nostrils. So with any of the poses, there shouldn't be pain, and if you need to come out of them sooner, then you come out of them sooner. Walk your feet towards your hands. If you've got very tight hamstrings, your legs will bend at this point, and that's fine. So you can have your feet so that the outer edges of the feet line up with the outer edges of the mat, and be precise about that. Line them up. Your hands can come onto your shins, or they can come onto your thighs, or they can come onto the floor, but we are lifting and extending the sitting bones and moving in the dorsal spine. That's, I'm just going to show on the screen, that's this area here. Between the shoulder blades has to be moving in. For many people, it becomes a C shape on the back when they come into this pose because of tightness throughout the body. All right, so slowly, slowly lifting up to come out of the action. Stand in Tadasana, inner edges of the feet together, pressing down into the outer foot bones, stretching down with the fingertips, extending up with the crown of the head. And breathe. Fine inhalation, fine exhalation. Okay, so I'm using a chair here, but you could use a window ledge, seat of a sofa. I'm putting some foam pads onto it to make it a little more challenging. You could use the back of a sofa, whatever you have really. So if you're using a chair, it's best to put it with its back to the wall. I'm just showing this way because that is the way that you can see from the side. So we'll put the right foot up. I'm just demonstrating, so just have a look at the screen to start with. Put the right foot up and take the belt around the ball of the foot. Now, if balance is a challenge for you, then you can put your chair, you can use an ordinary kitchen chair or whatever you've got, or a stool. You can put your chair here and have your back to the wall. So it's quite a nice way of working so that you can keep your balance with this. But as I say, just be inventive, look around at what you've got in your room. For some of you, you will be able to come up a little bit higher. Now, if you're using, like this chair has a metal bar on the back of it, make sure that if you're placing your heel like that, that it's your heel bone on the back of that chair or whatever hard surface you're using, not your Achilles heel. Okay, we don't want to press down on that Achilles tendon because eventually it would damage it if you keep on doing that. Before we go up, I want you to look at something. The left foot is the one that usually goes adrift in this. The temptation is to come up higher than we should do, and then this left foot turns out to the left, which destroys the alignment in the pelvis. So you have to make sure that this left foot stays facing forwards. Okay, so choose your height. Have a belt or a dressing gown cord or a towel, something like that. If you don't have anything, then just work without. Place the foot to wherever you're going to put it. Place the belt around the ball of the foot and lift up. So you can come higher than this, that's absolutely fine, or you can come lower, also okay. But what you have to do is have a quick glance down at your left foot. Has it turned out to the side? The three things that tell you you've gone too high is that your foot turns out, one or both legs bend, or you fall over. All of those three things tell you you've gone a little bit too high. So keep your tailbone long and press down with this right thigh, right at the root of it. Lift your chest, breathe. Okay, let's try to the other side now. So we're going to try the left leg up. Now make sure that your right foot stays facing forwards as you take your left leg up. Use your belt, lasso your foot, place the belt around the ball of that left foot. We have to pull this left leg back into its socket and then push down at the root of the thigh. Keeping the outer hip on this right side firmly tucked in. Don't let that kick out to the side. Those of you with a lot of flexibility in the hip region may well inadvertently do that. So chest lifted, tailbone long, kneecaps lifted on both legs, extend into the inner heel of the raised leg. Make sure that that standing leg foot is still facing forwards. Breathe through the nostrils. Okay, and releasing down. It's not an easy pose to do that one. So I'm just going to show you Utkatasana, which we're going to use the chair for. I'm putting those foam pads close to the front of the chair. So I want you to stand so that your legs just touch the front seat of the chair. Now that might be slightly different depending on what chair that you're using. And we're going to swing up and bend so that we're just not sitting on the chair but just grazing the backs of the thighs. So that might mean that you have to put more foam pads on there if you're using foam pads. If you don't have foam pads, don't worry about it. Just imagine that you're sitting down towards the chair. Standing in Tadasana Mountain pose, toes spreading, inner edges of the feet together. Make sure that you're not turning your toes out. Tailbone is long, chest is lifted. So inhale, as we stretch the arms up, we bend the knees. So inhale and bend the knees and see, can you come down? Can you come down? Can you touch the backs of the thighs to the foam pads? Keep the ears between the arms, lift your chest, lengthen your tailbone, take the weight back into your heel bones, breathe. And coming up, okay, well done. Roll the shoulders back and down. So we're just going to move the chair out of the way now. We're going to come back into that pose and see, can we come down into an Uttanasana action? I'm putting a couple of foam pads here. You can use bricks, they're probably a bit more stable than the foam pads, so I'm just going to show. So we come into our Utkatasana, 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 and you see, can you fold? Your hands might come to the floor, they may need to come onto these foam pads. Draw the shoulder blades down, extend the breastbone forwards, and lift your sitting bones up. Now, if you do have tight hamstrings, those foam pads will not be enough, so you would, in that case, put your chair here. So you've got a bit more height and you can take your hands onto the seat of the chair when you come up. Don't be frightened of the fact that your hamstrings are tight. That's why you're here in the yoga classes, to improve where your tightnesses are, to strengthen where your weaknesses are, to improve your mobility but also your strength. Okay, so tailbone long, chest lifted, and inhale. Bend your knees, stretch your arms up. So imagine that chair was still there. You're sitting back onto the chair, the weight comes back into the heels, the ears stay between the arms, the chest lifts. You breathe, and then you see, can you take your hands down either to your chair or to your bricks foam pads or to the floor, and you lift your sitting bones up. Extend the breastbone forwards, kneecaps lifting, frontal thighs lifting. Don't come lower than your body allows. Just breathe. Okay, and slowly coming up. Well done. So we're going to come, everybody now, to an Uttanasana to the chair, because we're going to work a little bit on getting this lift and extension through the sitting bones. So what I want you to do, I'll just show first of all, is stand with the feet hip width apart. You're going to lift these frontal pelvic bones up and take your hands down to the seat of the chair. So some of you will be able to get lower than this, I know, but we're not working on that at the moment. So what I want you to do is press down into the seat of the chair, and you're going to lift your heels up. Now when you put your heels down, you're not just putting your heels down, you're lifting your heels up, you're lifting all of the soft tissue fibre, and when the heels come down, it's the bones that release down, all of the soft tissue fibre stays lifting up. Okay, harder than it looks. So stand with your feet hip width apart. Get this action of the weightedness of the bones. It's as though your bones are filling with water, and all of this soft tissue fibre is like a pair of tights that you're lifting up. Roll your shoulders back and down and put your fingertips here on the front of your pelvic bones. Keep those frontal pelvic bones lifted as you hinge at the hips. So hinge forwards, keep the frontal hip bones lifted, hinge forwards. Take your hands down to the seat of your chair. So you can use a sofa seat, a stool, whatever you've got. A couple of bricks if you don't have a chair. All right, shoulder blades down towards your back waist. Collarbones forwards towards the back of your chair. Now come up onto your toes. Lift your heels, lift your heels, lift your kneecaps, lift your thigh muscles, lift your sitting bones, lift your frontal pelvic bones. You might get a bit of cramp in your calves. Just look at your feet, make sure that your heels are even, that you're not swinging your heels out, you're lifting them directly up. So keep that lift, keep that lift, keep that lift. As you start to release the bones down, don't release the soft tissue fibre. So kneecaps lifting, thigh muscles lifting, shin muscles lifting, calf muscles lifting, but the bones are weighted and starting to release to the floor. So this encourages the abdominal lift that we need to come into these very strong forward folds. Okay, and slowly lifting up. Well done. Adamukavirasana. So again, you can work on the chair. So I'm just going to show you. This is Adamukavirasana. So we can do the Pajva action where we stretch to one side, come back to the center. You can see I'm on my fingertips. Stretch to the other side. Then we're going to come back to the center. Then we're going to come into Adamuka Swanasana, dog head down, and then back again. Adamukavirasana, just into the center. Okay, so let's do that one together. So sit back on your heels if you're able to. I'm just moving my mic around. It kind of gets in the way, the sound equipment, when we're doing these forward bends. So lift the frontal pelvic bones and hinge forwards. Those working onto the seat of the chair, stretch your hands forwards onto your bricks. So extend forwards again. If you need to have support underneath your head, between your buttocks and your heels, then please do take it. Rest the head down and breathe. So we're going to go to the right first. So lift your head, come up onto your fingertips, take your right hand to the outer edge of your right knee and take your left hand across the body. So it comes to the outside of the right side of the mat. So we're turning and lengthening through that left flank as we twist to the right. Breathe. Come back to the center and turning to the left. So now your left hand comes to about 15 centimeters to the side of your left knee, 6 inches to the side of your left knee, and take the right hand across and lengthen. So we're not trying to get the head to the floor here, we're just getting that length and opening in the side flank there. And breathing. Okay, bring the hands back to the center, flatten the palms, release the head. So we're going to come now into Adamuka Swanasana, dog head down. Come up, tuck your toes under, lift your sitting bones up. So remember those actions, all of the soft tissue fibre lifts up, the frontal pelvic bones lift up, the abdomen moves back to the spine, and then you start to push the tops of the thighs away from you. Make sure that your heels are not swinging in or swinging out. Open and lengthen through the backs of the legs. And now we're coming back down into Adamukavirasana. Toes together, heels apart, buttocks back onto the heels and extending forwards, or working onto the chair. All right, and slowly coming up now. You're going to come into Shavasana now. I'd like you to use a bolster or a pillow underneath your knees if you have one, or a couple of cushions, and a blanket for your head. So just to make this very nice and comfortable. So you're going to recline back. The blanket's going to come underneath your head and your neck. The bolster comes underneath the backs of the knees, and the hands are facing towards the ceiling, palms of the hands facing towards the ceiling. If you need to put on socks, extra layers, then please do that. Make sure that you are warm enough. Maybe you put a blanket or something over you. If it's very bright in your room, you might want to turn the lights out, or put an eye bag on, or fold a belt and put it over your eyes, just so that you can completely relax and release in your Shavasana. So release your eyes, soften across the forehead, relax the facial features, release your tongue, soften your throat. Let the abdomen become soft and broad and open. So I'm going to leave you in your Shavasana. I would like you to do a 3-minute or 5-minute Shavasana at least. If you have time, then do a longer Shavasana. It's always very beneficial for the nervous system. So I look forward to seeing you again next time. In the meantime, enjoy your Shavasana.
Namaste.